short boundaries, but that one's short enough. As Bastian Franciscus Wilhelmus de Lead cries in vain as that one just goes to the right. And this one's going to be between the two fielders in a similar direction, but that's been clipped away all along the carpet this time between the fine leg and deep backward square, and that's 10 off 2.
He's dissected that one like a surgeon, and he's done that earlier in this innings as well.
Yes,
I was about to say, I think the happiest person in the team with his poor form earlier in the series would have been the 12th man, because they would have had to come out into the ground less for glove changes. But this innings, I'm sure he's had plenty.
He has, and the lead's in again. Smith's flicking that one, or more turning it out to deep backward square for a single. 149 for 1. Yes, it's looking fairly easy for these two at the moment. As that one's sailed into the advertising hoardings. And you just sense the run rate will continue to go up and up as these medium paces continue to operate as Warner of just the 4 deliveries. Warner and Smith really now doing as they please. Warner on to 73 from 56. It wasn't too long ago when I was last on commentary. He looked a bit scratchy, but since then, no dramas.
Yeah, that was a poor ball. It was just in his hitting zone at the right height, and it was just fruit for the sideboard, really.
He go down for a minute, thought he was in with a chance, and then just put his head down as if to say, I give up, that's too good for me. As the lead's bowling a slower, foolish ball. Is that taken? That is taken. That short cover, outstretched hand to the right, inches above the deck. What a catch. Who was that, Chris?
That's Roloff van der Meer.
Roloff van der Meer. That came out of nowhere. It was a full toss. I think it was an attempted slow ball Yorker. Not sure if Warner's checked for this or the umpires just want to check if it's carried, but no one's walking off the field. The fieldsman was certainly confident. You'd think, I don't think that, as is custom these days, especially with the Australians, no one walks off till we've seen about 16 replays, and we'll see what happens here.
Not bad for the senior member of the team to bend over and pluck that one. It was an excellent catch.
Yes, he was certainly pumped up, and let's hope after the reaction, well, he's caught it about 2 feet above the ground. It's just the roll they're checking to see it doesn't bubble out, but it looks a clean. Well,
I think it's a bit like the Mitchell Starc catch where that
potentially the ball has hit the ground. Yes,
whilst he's holding it.
Yeah, I think that's going to be not out. Well, yeah, you can't give that out.
So van der Meer has dived away to his right, caught it well above the ground, but then as he's fallen down to the ground, the ball has come down below him with his hands on top, and it looks like the ball would have touched the ground as he's fallen down.
Yes, he's put pressure. Would have been a try in NRL rugby.
Yes,
there was pressure on top of the ball, we think, and that's a relatively easy decision. Well, a bit of an anticlimax after the celebration and the catch. Well, maybe more in hope. He rolled around and came up with the ball, but I think it's fair to say without
the Dutch
that
fans,
pressure on the ground, it may well have slipped out of his hands. They're not happy out there.
They're shocked, but obviously they haven't been watching the Ashes. Otherwise they would have known.
They're all in disbelief. I think Warner's just saying, well, the ball hit the ground with pressure on top of the hand. That is, you cannot rest the ball on the ground as part of controlling the ball. That's very clear. And yeah, we saw that with Mitchell Starc, who stupidly did that. I don't think
he needed to when he took that catch, the way he fell.
Is Warner just having a go here at the fielder, or is a little bit of, or is he just saying bad luck, mate? There's a bit of a coming together. I think it was saying, hey, that happened to us in the Ashes. Mitchell Starc, and yes, you can see the replay. Warner straight away went to the umpire. No, the ball touched the ground, but just rubbing salt into the wound there. As the
that was a take that shot, wasn't it?
Yes, backward a point. No chance for the fielder, and that over's gone for a casual 19 after the Dutch thought they had a wicket, and it's 158 for 1. Warner 77, and what is Smith on 69?
Monk.
After some minor tech issues, which hopefully have partially been resolved, I blame Tony because he's not here. We've got some folk on YouTube again. Jake Grover is suggesting that Tony's had a day off and it all goes to shit. And it's true. Fucking shambles. And Brian in Brisbane's calling for Tony. I'll ring Tony right now and see what he has to say. He'll help us.
And it's going to be a bowling change here. Arian Dutt, who opened the bowling, the spinner, who copped his medicine early, 24 from 2 overs. He'll come back into the attack. Yes, we're just getting more of a look at the replay. You can see the bowler there wasn't too happy. I think the bowler saw Warner straight away, said no, that hit the ground. And well, if that was the Ashes, there would have needed to be a meeting of the Prime Ministers to resolve that, and we would have hated the Netherlands if this was Test cricket. But I'm sure no one will remember that catch from tomorrow. As Dutt will continue with his off spinners, and Smith can't beat the backward point. And there's going to be a shot at the stumps, but there's no run as Smith sent back by Warner.
The run rate 6.8 after 23 overs.
It has got up to that 7 mark. They'll be looking, well, from this platform to be getting up towards 400, and not that we're going to discount the Dutch's chances of chasing it, but you'd think it'd be unlikely. Net run rate might be very important just to get into that 3rd or 4th spot or 4th spot on the ladder, as Smith's carving that.
Of course, Australia's in the peloton, trailing the Indians and the South Africans.
Yes, and even the Kiwis, but if Australia do beat New Zealand when they play, they could skip ahead, but unless England find some form, and well, Pakistan looks a bit shaky as well against Afghanistan these days.
Yes.
So you can't count on winning any game. As soon as they think they're in, they're likely to drop one to Bangladesh or Afghanistan, and then they're right back in
the mix.
In the mix.
Yeah.
Dutt's now around the wicket, and Smith slashing that. Eyes are coming together, and there's a lot of hanging around. There's another look at the replay.
And was that
Johnny Bairstow won't be happy with this.
No.
He'll be calling journalists, and that has now officially been given out. I'm not sure why. I mean, maybe Smith couldn't see it why he was hanging around, but that was clearly out in real time for all to see. But got to make sure of it these days, and that is the 2nd wicket. It's 2 for 160. Well, let's see whether the Australians will elevate Maxwell or Inglis or one of the hitters, or go with Labuschagne, considering the platform. We saw them do that against Pakistan the other night.
Yeah, if it is Labuschagne, he might be thinking this is his last game before Head comes back.
Yes, you'd think he'll be the one that would miss out. Marsh goes to 3 and they all move down. I was surprised Cameron Green came back into the side. I'm not sure whether we've mentioned that earlier. Stoinis.
Did he have
perhaps
niggle? I thought
wasn't seeing the world on fire. Maybe he had a niggle. I was not sure whether they dropped him, but I think he must have had a niggle, because certainly he's a better option than Green, I think. But it will be Marnus. Perhaps the captain's just said, get your eye in and get some form. We've got a good platform. But you're almost, I mean, unless you make 100 from here, if you make 30 or 40, I don't know, 2 for 160, you really need to go big, or you're on a hiding to nothing, I think.
Correct. And 100 off 80 balls.
Yeah, so that's the aim. Marnus, 100 off 80. Hasn't had a great World Cup, just the average of 30 at the strike rate of 64, so
very disappointing.
Definitely Travis Head will come in for him, you would think, at some stage. But it's been Dutt with the wicket, and he'll continue. And Marnus will turn that one into the onside for a single. He's off the mark, 161 for 2.
And in today's one-day game, Smith's 71 of 68 is just a par score in terms of strike rate.
Yes, especially on this pitch at this ground. And not selling the Dutch short, but probably not the strongest bowling attack, you would say, in world cricket. So But he's definitely set the platform, and he just looked so disappointed in himself that he picked out the fielder. There were 3 figures waiting for him, and that would have really got his confidence back in the shortest form of the game, but not to be. Duts in now round the wicket to Warner, who can't get a run as Point comes around and does the fielding. So this has been a good comeback by Arian Dutt. Just 3 runs and a wicket off the over. 1 ball to come. Let's see what Warner can do here. He's going to get a single through the covers and he'll retain the strike. 24 gone, 162 for 2. Warner 78, Labuschagne on 1.
And back over on YouTube, our resident Dutch supporters, Stephen Kelk and Nick Vickers, are amused that there's been a wicket taken. And I'm struggling with Twitter at the moment, so you'll just have to wait. I would like to mention, though, that Bastian is also the name of a character in the movie Neverending Story. So, there's your pop culture reference.
Bastian. Any Franciscus Wilhelmuses in pop culture, I wonder?
Yeah, that was the name of the captain of the Babylon 4 space station.
Thanks, Og.
On YouTube, Jay Grover said, Smith's not angry, he's just disappointed.
He's never happy as Warner will take strike to Van Beek and can't get a run. He's 78 from just the 60 deliveries. Really has a chance. Well, I don't want to think too far ahead, but he's almost got a chance to get a double 100 if he sticks around. Definitely this World Cup, and what better time and conditions and ground than here for Warner. A bad delivery.
There's a unique grandstand at this Delhi ground. It looks like a multi-level car park.
Is that the Gautam Gambier stand?
The Gautam Gambier stand, yes.
It's just the ramp that the cars drive up without any parking spaces. Maybe there's a car park behind.
Maybe there is. The patrons sit amongst the cars, maybe.
It's like they had about 10 metres deep. It's a bit hard to build a stand back, so they've just built one that's about 6 levels all on top of each other. As Labuschagne's turning that one into the onside, and he might get a couple of runs here, or perhaps even 3 as mid-wicket's coming around. No, they'll just get a couple. He moves to 3. Speaking of the grandstand, not a bad crowd in here. I thought, given all the talk around how hard it is to get a ticket and the disorganisation and politics, there's quite a good turnout and quite a good atmosphere in the ground. A lot of neutral fans, obviously, and quite a few Dutch fans. Fended on the offside, no run.
Delhi's the city where all the international consulate offices are in India, so I'm sure the Australian consulate staff are there and the Dutch consulate staff are there, making up the numbers today.
I think this was the ground where Afghanistan played England, was it? Which was a
yes,